data scientist needs to understand the context in which he's going to build the dashboard or the analytics. Because at the end of it, without that context, I can go ahead and create an architecture, but sorry, this architecture will only support one silo. It's not giving me a converged view across verticals, right? I hope that answers the relevance and the impact that it could create for us in terms of business.
Is that really going to change the hiring patterns of different companies? You think it's going to?
Yes.
I mean, and we are talking about significant impact, right? If we are saying that it's got to become the new way of business, then we are hoping for a significant impact. So do you think there's going to be significant impact on the way companies hire right now?
On the way, sorry, I missed that part. Yeah, of course. I mean, I cannot probably speak for other companies, but I can talk about Intel. And it's all over the place that Intel is trying to catch the next wave of growth, which is IoT for us. And for us, IoT is not just about the devices at the edge. It's all the way from edge to the data center, right? We're talking about cloud. We're talking about intelligent devices. We're talking about the connectivity, be it 5G or any of this. So for us, it's the end-to-end stack. And throughout, you know, we need, as I said, for us, the context is very important. And the context cannot come from a hardware engineer in isolation or a software engineer in isolation. It's a teamwork. And we are actively hiring for data scientists, folks that believe in cloud, big data, software-defined infrastructure, because these are the fundamentals for IoT.
Maybe I could add to that. You know, if I look at our experience of hiring and nurturing data scientists, it's actually really hard to find a data scientist who has got the statistical knowledge, machine learning, and also knows business context well, right? And the way all of us in the industry have
magicians.
Yeah, you pretty much need a superhuman, right? And the way all of us have dealt with this issue is to really think about data scientists not as one person, but sometimes in a team of 2 or 3 who could come together and work and solve for this, right? And what I have seen over the last 3-4 years is that with the industry coming up, training courses and all of that, you now start to get people who have the requisite skills to be that single data scientist. And my belief is that same pattern will follow because the demand is so high, we're not going to have enough trained, skilled people to be the IoT data scientist. There's components of electrical engineering in that. There's components of being a security expert in that. And of course, you have to have the data science in that person, right? We'll go from being, doing jugaad, which is to, add individual skill sets to make the whole. And then what I expect is that, people like yourselves and, other people will come up with specific courses which will integrate all of this and help build the availability of requisite talent. And so companies will follow that staggered approach until you get enough talent which is trained and be ready to work on IoT.
If I may just add to that, Geetika, sorry. Sanjay and Raghavan talked about different use cases in different verticals, right? Insurance, retail, you see that everywhere. The other one that's coming up, because data science has several verticals underneath, right? I mean, you basically listen to social media, you actually have a lot of data that already exists, which is with the government, and sometimes it comes from, your behavior on Flipkart or a behavior on Amazon. So one other thing that's evolving for us as Intel is the deep learning and machine learning. That for us is also data science. It's basically, what are the patterns? How much did I buy in the last several months, and then what would I be buying going forward, right? And that's also very important in genomics, which is healthcare, your gene pattern, and how would it impact your health going forward? If I have a family gene, probably cancer-generating gene, would it impact going forward? All that requires a lot of data science. That's deep learning, machine learning. So things are like, you can think of number of use cases.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And these IoT devices, they are adding on to these problems that data science was already trying to solve. And now these devices are going to help feed in that right data.
Yeah. So
in fact, I think that's an amazing...
That brings to one element which is very important from the perspective of the entire industry. See, don't treat data science as an isolation. Treat the software industry. So what do you do in software industry? You first ask the question, what are you building? What is the problem? Requirements engineering. What is the requirement? What is the KPI you're measuring? So I'll give you an example. So we need domain experts to work in conjunction with the experts in IoT hardware who build that, and the analytics guys who are the data science guys to work with the domain guys. I'll give you a solid example. I was talking to Geetika. This is an example from the recent Olympics, right? So there was this set of wearables which was brought about by an ex-boxer. He's an ex-boxer. So these are wearables which are now being used by the world boxing teams of different countries, which is put inside the gloves of the boxers, which gives raw data in terms of the punch intensity, the punch type, the duration with which that punch lasted. And this data is fed to the trainer. And you know what it does? It actually helps, first, the domain guy, which is the expert, who is the trainer, right, who is the coach, he determines what are the KPIs. For this particular punch type, it's expected to be 20% of your time for 2 seconds. This percentage of the time should be this type. And then the actual data from the boxing wearable was measured against the benchmarked expectation. And then his performance was improved on improving that particular punch type on which there was gap. So here is a classic example where a domain guy, a business guy in that domain came up with the business requirement. A hardware guy came with the design of what to capture, punch intensity, the duration. Then analytics guy came up with actual spread in terms of what is the ideal distribution, what is the average distribution across boxers, or what was his performance over history, what is the gap between his ideal performance and all. So this is a classic example of a use case for a future business in IoT. You have the embedded systems engineers who are building the chips. Then you have data scientists.
That was a Curie sensor, by the way, in the glass.
Oh, great. So, and then you have the domain guys, business guys who gave the requirement. And one more thing, let me tell you, which is, I think he touched upon a little bit, I think he's touched, is more than half of future business is in manufacturing. The entire manufacturing industry is going to be turned upside down, especially maintenance. Whether it's aircraft maintenance or machinery maintenance is going to be upside down because of moving from the very notion of reactive maintenance or scheduled maintenance, right? Normally you do require scheduled maintenance every 15 days. Or before you are taking off, before end of the day, you do a scheduled maintenance. That will go away and move to preventive and predictive maintenance based on hundreds of sensors, which will feed data on the health of machine, give back response to the repair personnel on what needs to be done before a fault can potentially happen in the field. And that is going to save billions and trillions of dollars for the manufacturing industry. So that's what, in fact, the whole industrial internet consortium, industry consortium, is calling it Industry 4.0. There's a fourth industrial revolution that's going to change the paradigm of manufacturing itself. And that requires domain guys who understand the field. Then you need the guys who build the machine. Then you need the analytics guys who take the raw data and convert it into the predictive analytics of potential fault. So think about in every use case, you need these three people.